Welcome to Lost Relation Chronicles.
I am Matthew, married to Charlotte for 21 years. We have two older kids from previous relationships, Kelly, who is 26, and Henry, who is 24, who are now independent, leading their own lives. We had a good run. Even with our full-time jobs and two kids, we still ensured to have our space, at least during dinner. That was non-negotiable for us. Dinner time without any screen, just talk. Even when we were angry at each other and didn't talk, we still sat together and ate in silence. It kept us tight. Even after 21 years together, our marriage felt alive. Hell, our bedroom life's been better than ever lately. We always had a good run in that front, and it has only gotten better with time. I thought it was because we have less stress after the kids got independent, or maybe the hormonal changes in our 50s. Turns out, I was clueless. This Friday, we were at the kitchen table enjoying lasagna with beer, chatting about our day. She was in the middle of a story about some kid's essay, talking about how creative it was, when she casually added, almost as if it were part of the story, and speaking of spending time with people, I've actually been dating someone from work lately. Just thought you should know. I squinted, my fork frozen midair. Wait, what? You what? She dropped her own fork, looked at me with these glassy eyes, and added softly, I've been hanging out with a work friend. Just wanted to let you know. Her voice was too casual, like she was mentioning a new hobby, but her hands were trembling, betraying her whole posture. It got me confused. The next 10 minutes are still a blur. I don't even know how I was holding myself up in my chair. My mind was scrambling, trying to catch up to the words she had just dropped between bites of lasagna. She swallowed hard, like she was choking on the words, and repeated, I've been spending time with someone from work. You know, just hanging out. I clenched my jaw, forcing my voice to stay steady. Okay, so you're just hanging out, right? She shifted in her seat, her eyes darting away. Well, he's a guy, Matthew. You know him? Her voice cracked when she said his name, and that's when my stomach dropped. Of course, I knew the guy. The soccer coach at her school. Early, maybe mid-30s. All chiseled jaw and gym bro swagger. I'd seen him at faculty events, always strutting like he owned the place. I forced a laugh, though it tasted bitter in my mouth. Yeah, I know. The soccer dude. Buff guy, right? She nodded. Yeah, we've been going out for a while. My eyes locked on hers. So, you're having an affair? I braced myself for her to jump in, shout a big no, deny it outright. But instead, silence filled the kitchen, heavy and thick, until she finally said, we go out for coffee after school and take a walk by the lake. She paused, bit her lip, and added, sometimes more. The word more hit me like a sledgehammer to the chest. So, you're screwing him. I spat, my voice colder than I'd ever heard it. Her voice dropped to a whisper. I like spending time with him. He makes me feel young. She didn't say yes, but she didn't deny it either. That was all the answer I needed. I just sat there, numb, while she broke down in front of me, her voice raw, like she'd been holding it in for months. I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to hurt you. It's just, he sees me, you know? Like I'm not just a mother or a teacher. An older woman to him. He makes me feel like I'm 25 again. Like I've got fire in my veins. It's not love, I swear. It's just a fling, a stupid, temporary fling. I sat frozen, my beer sweating on the coaster, staring at the woman I thought I knew. She was fooling around with some jock and sitting there telling me it's no big deal. She reached for my hand, but I jerked it back like her touch might burn me. Now she started begging. Please, I didn't want to hurt you. I glared at her, my pulse pounding in my ears. We feel awful sneaking around, she said quickly, like she had to get the words out before she lost her nerve. So I had to tell you. I couldn't keep lying. The way she said it made my stomach turn. She was framing this like she was some noble person for confessing, as if dragging her crime into the light somehow erased all the filth attached to it. But it doesn't change us, she pushed on. You didn't notice, right? Our life's been better than ever. You said it yourself. Our sex life has been incredible. She actually had the nerve to smile faintly. That's partly because of this. It's made me feel alive, and it spilled into us. I just stared at her, my jaw tight. But she kept going. Did you notice any change in me? She pressed. No, right? If I didn't confess, you wouldn't have ever known. Tell me, did you have any complaints for me? Had I not told you this? I hate to admit it, but she was right. There was no way I would have found this out. Her school let out at 1 p.m. Even if she fooled around for hours, she could still be home by 4 o'clock or 5 o'clock. I didn't walk through the door until 7 o'clock. She gave me no reason to suspect her until she confessed. She seemed perfect for me, kind, loving. Our sex life was definitely amazing, and that's exactly why it made me so damn angry. She was cleverly screwing around, and I had no dang clue. I didn't say a word. My silence must have been deafening because she just kept going. It's true, she said, her voice soft but steady. I've been happier, more confident. It's like I'm rediscovering myself, and it's made me better for you. I stared at her, my chest tightening. I know it sounds crazy, but that's when I snapped. Crazy? You're screwing a guy half your age, and you want me to thank you for it? What do you want, Charlotte? Something metal for honesty. She flinched and then started sobbing harder. I just wanted you to know. I don't want to lose us. This thing with Matthew, it's nothing. It'll fizzle out. He's young, he's got his own life. Our marriage is forever. I don't want to ruin it. I let out a humorless laugh. Yet you did, didn't you? You think you can just confess this and I'll nod and say, cool. Keep banging the coach. I'll wait. She stood up and tried to come closer, lowering her voice like she was about to tell me some deep secret. It's meaningless. It's just validation. I'm 56 and I feel like time's slipping away. He makes me feel wanted, like I'm not invisible. But I love you. I shook my head in disbelief, but she kept piling on. Don't you see the benefits? Our sex life? Didn't you say we're luckier than your friends? Who gets this kind of action in their 50s? I stared at her like I'd never seen her before. The woman I'd loved for decades was now a stranger sitting in my kitchen. And the worst part? She wasn't even sorry. She wasn't regretting it, wasn't promising to stop. Her tone was like she was unloading some guilty little secret just to feel better, expecting me to let her keep her side piece while still being her husband. She talked about her affair partner like he was a gym membership she'd cancel when she got bored. I'll quit all this eventually, she said. It's just a phase. I'm enjoying this urge. My stomach turned. I felt like I couldn't breathe. I'm done, I said, my voice shaking. I can't take this anymore. I grabbed my keys and stormed out. She didn't call. She didn't text. Today, she dropped off a note. Take your time, honey. I'm here for you whenever you're ready to talk. Then, just a few hours ago, she sent me a nude with the message, want a ride? The audacity. She honestly thinks I'm cooling off and we'll just go back into her arms. Before I move ahead, I want to clarify something about the children. The kids are both hers, from her first marriage. I raised them as my own and still consider them mine, no matter what happens between us. 25 years ago, I landed an internship with a marketing firm during my final year of grad school. That's where I met Charlotte. She was in her early 30s then, a single mom grinding through life with 2 kids, 5 and 3 at the time. Her ex-husband was a deadbeat who had abandoned her with the kids. I saw firsthand how hard she worked, juggling 2 jobs, raising her children, barely taking a breath for herself. Her mom would step in to help sometimes, but most of the time, Charlotte was alone, carrying it all. She was a tough woman, the kind who didn't waste time on small talk. She'd come to the office on time, get her work done, good work, and leave right on the dot. But beneath that, she was warm, compassionate. You could go to her for help, and she wouldn't turn you away. Over time, we bonded. At first, it was pure admiration. I couldn't believe how much she could take without even flinching. I was single back then, still reeling from the end of a long-term relationship. Distance had killed that one. Towards the end of my internship, I asked Charlotte out. She hesitated, said I was young, still starting out, and she was already a mom of 2. But I persisted, and somehow convinced her to have dinner with me on my graduation day. From that night on, we were together. We dated for 4 years before tying the knot in a small courthouse ceremony. Just her mom and a few friends were there. My parents didn't show up, didn't approve of my choice. But over the years, they came around. Eventually, I adopted her children. We built a life together, and the kids loved me back just as much. I never felt they weren't mine. She later left her part-time job to focus on her day job. When we weren't struggling so much financially, she switched to a teaching job, which gave her more time for the kids and the house. Who knew that very job would end up killing our marriage? After her so-called confession, I checked into the nearest motel I could find. I stayed there all weekend, sulking, staring at the ceiling, replaying her words over and over until they made me sick. By Sunday night, I called my lawyer. He put me in touch with a divorce attorney, and I laid it all out for him. He didn't sugarcoat anything, told me straight that I'd probably lose half of everything I've built, maybe more. He didn't rush to file, though. Said, sleep on it. Think it through before making the move. Someone on an online forum even suggested I live separately without getting divorced, just to protect the property. Honestly, it was tempting to serve her papers right away or even ghost her forever, but the thought of losing everything I'd worked for my whole life, it's enough to beat the fight out of anyone. On Monday evening after work, I finally went back home. She was in the kitchen making dinner, moving around like nothing had happened. She came toward me, arms open for a hug. I blocked her. I'm filing, I told her flatly. She looked at me, amused. Hope you know what you're doing, she said, like it was a joke. You'll lose half of everything. This house, your savings and investments, even your ancestral property your grandpa left you. I just stared. This wasn't the woman I had loved for over 2 decades. She took a deep breath and kept going. See, I'm not threatening you. We live in a no-fault state. Remember? That's the law. I get half, no matter the reason for the divorce. So, better drop that thought and live happily as we were until Friday. I snapped. While you continue to screw around. Babe, she whispered, like she was trying to calm me. That's temporary. Maybe just for a few months, maybe a year more. I'm sure my urge will go away. I'm not getting younger, and he'll move on soon. I was screwed, standing there in my own kitchen, listening to my wife pitch me the idea that the best setup for us was her screwing her young lover until she got bored, while I suck it up and stay married. For what? Because she gives me the action I needed in bed. We put this perfect family picture in front of the whole world while I was breaking inside. I finally lost it. No, I screamed. I'm not that kind of husband. You think I'd put up with your crap just to protect my property? Go to hell with whatever you want. I'd rather be broke than stay with a 304. Her stance made everything crystal clear. She wasn't remorseful. She didn't want to fix anything. She just wanted a free pass to keep fooling around. And she wasn't going to get it from me, not in this lifetime. The options were simple. Either have a messy divorce now, or an even messier one later. And if I didn't file right away, she could claim I knew about it and chose to stay, which would only strengthen her position. I called my divorce attorney and told him to file immediately. He went over a list of do's and don'ts while the paperwork was being prepared. First on the list, find accommodations. One way or another, I need my own place. She wouldn't leave the house, and I needed peace. Next, he told me to record every conversation with my soon-to-be ex. Avoid crossing paths as much as possible. If she initiated any talk, have audio or video running. Separate bedrooms. Use an alternate doorway if possible. And best of all, move out ASAP. I got to work immediately. I moved my stuff into the guest room until I found a place. Anytime she tried to start a conversation, I made sure the video camera was rolling. I kept an audio recorder on me whenever I stepped out of the guest room. It pissed her off. Badly. Apparently, she discussed it with her lover because one morning, while I was on my usual walk in the park, he showed up. He blocked my path and said, "Can I have 5 minutes?" I didn't want to create a scene in front of my neighbors, so I nodded. He started talking in this overly polite, fake tone, the kind that makes your skin crawl because you can hear the insincerity dripping off every word. "We didn't mean to hurt you or sneak around behind your back," he said, his voice calm and deliberate, like he was trying to talk a wild animal out of attacking. "We feel horrible about it. Trust me." I glared right at him. "Trust you? Can I trust a person who's screwing my wife?" He didn't even flinch. He just kept talking like I hadn't just thrown that in his face. "I have massive respect for you," he went on. "Your wife has only good things to say about you. How you respect her, love her, and raised her kids as your own." I cut him off. "Stop with the bullshit and come to the point. I am not here to listen what that bitch thinks or says about me." He leaned back slightly, like he wanted to make sure his next words sounded reasonable. "I'm requesting you not to divorce. She really loves you. We both agree she had a rough start in life. She deserves that little happiness, those tiny tinglings from me. What's wrong with that? It's temporary. Within a few years, we'll get over this. I'll also have to settle down and have kids. Can't continue with this. You know, you both are permanent. Why are you screwing your chance to have a soulmate by your side? Let's be real. It's hard to find love at your age when you already have one. Don't let her go. You're immature, man. Hope you understand women have desires." I could feel my hands tighten into fists under the table. I wanted to knock him down right there and then. But I knew it would be stupid. He's way stronger than me, and if I so much as raised my hand, he'd defend himself, and it would be enough to turn this into something that could get me arrested. I wasn't about to give him that satisfaction, not in a public place. So I stood up. "She can fulfill all her desires," I said coldly, "but she can't remain my wife. And just to add to that, bitches like her can be replaced every night. You just need the right price. Go tell her that." He got up too, like he was going to follow me and keep talking, but I turned around and looked him dead in the eye. "I think we are done. If you continue, I will put you in a grave right now." That stopped him. He backed off. It took me a week to find a place, a cramped little apartment near my office. I rented it for 6 months, knowing full well I couldn't stay there long. It was just a buffer, something to give me breathing room until I could find a better place, or buy another house, if I managed to sell the old one at a decent price and get half the money. It was again a Friday afternoon when my attorney called. "The papers are ready, Matthew. How do you wish to serve her?" "I'll do it myself," I said without hesitation. I drove to his office, signed where I needed to, picked up the envelope, and headed home. When I walked in, Charlotte was already back from school, halfway through getting ready to go out. Her hair was pinned up, makeup on, perfume hanging in the air. I stepped forward and handed her the envelope. "What's this?" she asked, her voice flat. "You'll see." The moment was colder than I'd imagined it would be. She slammed the packet down on the table like it was junk mail, grabbed her purse, and said, "We'll talk about this later." Then she walked out, heels clicking, without another word. I didn't lose my breath over her reaction. I just started packing my stuff and stacked it in the guest room. The following weekend, I made the move official. When the truck pulled up in the driveway and I started hauling boxes out, she came to the doorway. "Can we at least talk before we jump to decisions?" she asked. I laughed, bitter and sharp. "Jump to decisions? You jumped into your toy boy's bed without talking to anyone." Before she could respond, the truck operator came over and said, "Sir, I'll help you get these loaded." She stood there in silence as I carried out the last bags. When the final box was gone, she turned and slammed the bedroom door behind her. The next morning, my phone rang. It was our daughter, her voice already shaking. "Dad, what the hell is going on?" I took a breath. "Sweetheart, your mom and I, we're separating." She went quiet, but I could feel the questions pressing through the silence. Why? What happened? I wasn't going to dump the whole ugly truth on her. Not yet. Some things came up. I'll explain more when you're ready. She wasn't satisfied. "You're not telling me everything." I sighed. "No, I'm not. But I will tell you this. Your mom, she's been seeing someone." Another pause, this one heavier. Then, in a small voice, "Matthew, seriously? I thought he was just helping mom with track meets and stuff." "Yeah," I said, my voice dry, helping her keep up her cardio. She hung up crying. An hour later, my phone lit up again. This time, she wasn't crying. She was furious. Not at me, at her mother. I told her not to get in the middle of this. "She disgusts me," my daughter said, her voice sharp but trembling. "No matter what, you'll always be our dad." I could hear her pacing on the other end. She asked where I was staying. "Don't worry," I said. "I'm fine." She offered her guest room. Sweet kid, trying to help, but I said no. I needed space. Some time alone. That same evening, my son called. Short and to the point. "Is it true? Mom cheated." I replied honestly. He didn't even react at first. Just silence. A full minute passed before he said, "Well, that's effing gross." And then he hung up. I haven't heard from him since. A week after Charlotte was served, she texted me about discussing the clause and exchanging some bank documents and house papers. I forwarded it to my lawyer. He called her to arrange a meeting in his presence, but she insisted on having it private. I agreed, on the condition that we meet in a public place. We met at a cafe on neutral ground. She walked in, looking tired, and her first words were, "This doesn't have to be war." I shot back, cold and steady. "It should be, but luckily for you, I'm done wasting energy." She looked down, twisting her wedding ring around her finger. "You really want to end this?" I didn't flinch. "It ended the day you opened your legs for a man who was not your husband." Then she did something that still pisses me off to this day. She said, "I don't regret telling you." I blinked. Mind you, she didn't say she regretted cheating. No, she thought telling me was some brave, moral stance, some point for honesty about her lies. I asked her flatly, "Do you regret cheating?" She paused. A long pause, too long. Finally, she whispered, "I regret hurting you." Not a yes, just a careful dodge of responsibility. We wrapped up the meeting with the logistics. I get the house, but she wanted some time to move out. Fine, fair enough. She gets the newer car I bought for her, too. No spousal support. Her idea. She said she doesn't deserve it. I nodded, taking it all in. "Fine," I said. "Take what you need, move on." She gave me a small, almost relieved smile. "Thanks," she murmured. "Cool. I'll take what I can get." I'm not falling for her just because she let go of the maintenance. It's her screw-up, and she deserved to be screwed. Almost a month after she was served, I ran into one of Charlotte's coworkers at the subway. She wasn't just a colleague, more like a friend to her. Her eyes widened when she saw me. "Matthew, I heard about you two parting ways after 20 years. I'm so sorry. Are you okay?" I forced a shrug. "We're managing." She looked taken aback, then leaned in, lowering her voice. "Why isn't Matthew taking care of her?" I blinked. "Excuse me." She shook her head, stunned. No one suspected a thing. She seemed fine, but wow, this would never have flown if anyone knew. I didn't give her any details. Didn't need to. "I'm sure you'll figure it out," I said, and left her there to dig it out herself. Word spreads faster than light, doesn't it? It didn't take long before other staff got wind of it. Soon, it reached the principal, and things escalated fast. The school launched an internal review. Charlotte and I were both placed on administrative leave pending the investigation. But here's the catch. We didn't actually break any on-campus rules. We were discreet. Never hooked up on school property. Weren't caught on camera. Never involved any staff or students. And didn't use school email or resources. Technically, we were clean. The court of public opinion, however, was a different beast entirely. Soon, the news spread. Parents caught wind. The furious ones flooded the school board. "We don't want our kids learning from people with no moral compass," they shouted. The pressure piled up. And so, despite no official findings of policy violations, the board kicked them out. The next day, my soon-to-be ex-wife hunted me down at my office cafeteria, the one upstairs where I usually grab a late lunch. She came storming in, face flushed, and screamed, "You think this is funny? I lost my job, and you just walk away clean." I calmly put down my coffee and looked at her. "You showed up at my lunch spot? You want to cause a scene? Go ahead." She leaned in, lowering her voice into a hiss. "You think you're some hero? I'll expose your truth." I stood up, my coffee forgotten, and turned to face everyone in the cafeteria. The room went quiet, all eyes on me. "Excuse me," I said, my voice carrying across the tables. "Can I have your attention for a moment?" Heads turned, curious. I took a deep breath. My soon-to-be ex-wife is here, apparently, to expose the truth. Well, here it is. I refused to allow my wife to have sex with her coworker, a man younger than her. She actually asked me to accept her having sex outside of our marriage. That's the truth she wanted to broadcast. Charlotte's face drained of color. Her jaw tightened, and I could see the humiliation in her eyes. People were whispering, glancing at her, some even staring openly. Her hands trembled, clutching her purse. She opened her mouth, probably to retort, but no words came. She couldn't hold a gaze. With a shuddering breath, she turned and bolted for the door, knocking over a chair in her haste. The cafeteria buzzed with murmurs as she disappeared, leaving me standing there, calm, letting the truth hang in the air. The following week, her lawyer sent over a revised demand. I opened the email and saw the list. She now wanted the house, claiming it was more suitable for her, that she was the one who had made it a home. I sighed, picked up the phone, and called my attorney. "She's asking for the house now," I said, trying to keep my voice steady. "Can you believe this?" My lawyer replied, "It's aggressive, but not unusual. She's leveraging sentiment to get what she wants. We need to counter." I nodded, pacing the small space of my apartment. "Counter with what?" "I don't want to argue over something that's already full of memories I'd rather forget. You can offer to sell and split the proceeds. That's clean, fair, and cuts out emotional baggage," he advised. I drafted my response and sent it. Then came the reply from her lawyer. "Charlotte insists she should keep the house. She's the one who turned it into a home. You have to consider her emotional attachment." I forwarded it to my attorney. We wrote back, "Emotional attachment doesn't pay the mortgage, and I don't plan on living in the house that reminds me that my wife was having sex with a man who was not her husband. So, she can take her emotions and keep them to herself. We need the money." We proceed with selling. The back and forth lasted days. Emails piled up, phone calls rang incessantly, and both of us were exhausted. Charlotte even tried to call me directly one afternoon. "Matthew, can we just talk this out?" she said, her voice tight. "I'm not negotiating over the phone," I replied calmly. "Everything goes through our lawyers. I just want the house." "I made it a home," she protested, her frustration bleeding through. "Have it. Just give me the money. It is that simple," I said firmly. "Either you pay me or we'll sell and split it evenly. That's final. I am not giving you shit." By mid-October, the sale went live, and by November, it was under contract. I finally felt a sense of relief, knowing the next step was clean, a clean break from the place that had become a reminder of betrayal. Thanksgiving rolled around, and as expected, Charlotte hosted dinner. She'd invited the kids, probably hoping for some semblance of normalcy. But nobody showed up. About noon, my daughter called me. "Dad, can I come over?" I don't feel right going to that house." "Of course, sweetheart," I said. "Come whenever you like." A few hours later, she arrived, carrying a couple of containers and a bag of groceries. "I brought the food, and I cooked a little," she said, giving me a small, nervous smile. "Didn't feel right eating at that house." I laughed softly. "You don't have to justify it. Let's eat and watch the game." We settled on the living room floor, football on the old TV, and ate stuffing straight out of the container. She laughed when I tried to pass her a plate. "This is better," she said. Simple, honest, and it really was. For a moment, it felt like the old days, but quieter, gentler, without the tension that had poisoned the house. Still, my son hadn't reached out. His number went straight to voicemail when I tried. I left a message. "Hey, just checking in. Hope you're okay." No reply. I texted a few hours later, but silence. He'd shut himself off from both of us, cutting communications entirely. Later that evening, my daughter curled up on the couch with a blanket. "Dad, do you think he'll ever talk to Mom again?" she asked softly. I shook my head. "I don't know. Everyone deals with grief differently. He needs time, and we need to respect that. For now, let's just focus on us, okay?" She nodded, and we stayed like that for a while, quiet but together. I'm still in the apartment for now, surrounded by boxes and reminders, but I've got my eye on a small house outside the city. Somewhere to start over. Somewhere that doesn't carry the echoes of betrayal. One afternoon, a few weeks after Thanksgiving, Charlotte was at home when the doorbell rang. She opened it to see our son standing there, arms crossed, his face tight with anger and hurt. "Mom," he said, voice cold. "I'm here to tell you something. I don't want any communication from you. Texts, calls, emails, none of it. I'm done. Don't try to reach me." Charlotte opened her mouth, but he held up his hand. "I mean it." Without waiting for a response, he turned on his heel and left, slamming the door behind him. The look in her eyes was a mixture of shock, guilt, and helplessness, but there was nothing she could do. A few days later, he came to my apartment. I was in the kitchen, grabbing a beer, when he walked in, hesitant. "Hey, buddy," I said gently, setting down the bottle. He didn't respond right away. Instead, he closed the door behind him, walked straight toward me, and threw his arms around me. I felt the tension in his shoulders and the tremble in his frame. I'm sorry," he whispered into my shoulder, tears starting to fall. I held him tighter, patting his back. "Hey, it's okay. You're not the one who betrayed anyone. This isn't your fault. You've got nothing to apologize for." He pulled back slightly, wiping his eyes, but still clinging to me. I didn't know what to do. Everything's so messed up. "I know, son. I know." I reached for another beer, handed him one. "Let's just sit, have a drink, and breathe for a minute." We collapsed onto the couch, the two of us shoulder to shoulder. The first sip was quiet, but then he laughed softly through his tears. "Thanks, Dad, for being here." "Always," I said, clinking my bottle against his. "Always." Soon after, my daughter also arrived. For a while, we just sat there, drinking, talking a little, and letting the weight of the past weeks ease between us. In that quiet, I realized something I've always known deep down. DNA doesn't make a family. It's love. It's the time you spend together, the care you give, the moments you share that build the bonds that really matter. I looked at my son, still holding his beer, and I could see it in his eyes. Loyalty, trust, a connection that wasn't about biology. He's not mine by blood, yet he's always been my kid in every way that counts. My daughter, sitting next to us, nodding along silently, has shown the same devotion. They've both been loyal to me through every step, through the chaos and heartbreak, just like I've tried to be for them. "You know," I said softly, "you two, you've always been my kids. Doesn't matter where we came from. It's about how we treat each other. That's what makes us family." He looked up at me, tears still glistening, and gave a small, shaky nod. "I know, Dad. I really know." And in that moment, surrounded by the quiet hum of the apartment, it hit me harder than ever. Family isn't written in genes. It's in the love, the loyalty, and the commitment we choose to give one another. And no betrayal, no heartbreak, could ever erase that. Dear listeners, please share your thoughts in the comments section below, and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe.